Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Half a Nice Day podcast with your host, Joshua.
And Janine.
And today we have another special guest for everyone. She is quarter-Emirati, quarter-Tanzanian, and half-Filipino. You might have seen her on YouTube, TikTok, somewhere on Instagram, maybe, and somewhere in Abu Dhabi. I'm not going to give her home address, don't worry.
Address is?
The security of the building is not good, so you can visit her. And we have no other than Jamila.
Woo!
Thank you.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy and excited to be here.
Welcome, Jamila.
Thank
So this
you.
is her first experience on a podcast,
Yes.
right? So we're going to be gentle.
Yes.
We will
Yes.
not take advantage of this
Super
moment.
honored, though,
What?
that it's the first podcast that she's been
Exactly.
on.
Yes.
Now, every other podcast can invite you, but at least we're the first.
Yes.
Yeah, no, every time I talk about it, it's like, my first podcast is with Half a Nice Day.
Yes.
Host. But yeah.
Yeah.
How did we get to know about Jamila?
Yeah,
So-
I was about to ask, how did you guys find me?
Yeah.
So I was outside your house one day and I was stalking you.
I was like, what?
That girl looks half and half something.
No, it's a funny story actually. So we started the podcast around a year ago and we immediately knew that we needed to get guests. So I did my research and I found you off a video on YouTube, the squad.
I think I didn't know. Yeah, the squad.
Exactly. And you were there with another girl and it was
Kina.
Kina, right?
Yeah.
And it was I don't know if you've seen this video, but I seen it and it was how Filipino are you?
Yes.
Nice.
So they're like a YouTube kind of. They put a lot of content regarding like Filipinos. And
Right.
They're a Filipino group,
Yes,
right?
they're Filipinos from Abu Dhabi.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
okay.
Yeah.
That's when I saw her, and then this was like, "How Filipino are you?" And they were like random questions, like, "Who's this actor?" And I think it was John Lloyd or something. I couldn't remember it. I'm like, okay, I'm not the only Filipino who knows nothing about my culture, so let me invite Jamila. And then like, we found you, we followed you on Instagram, and
Yeah.
we tried to reach out to you sometime back.
Yeah.
Then we found your email, and I think that was the easier way to
Yeah.
get in touch with you, and that's
Yeah.
how we contacted
she's
you. And
here.
Now I'm here.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, when you first sent me a DM on Instagram, I was like a bit like, I'm really, really shy. So I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, this is like kind of not me.
Yeah.
But I love to. Like, I would love to talk about like being half Filipino and UAE and everything. But then when you sent me again on my email, I was like, okay, it's time to like put yourself out there and try something different. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, let's
It's
do
a
it.
sign.
Yeah.
That's really good. At least we're so happy that you're here.
Yeah.
Because
Excited.
we tried to look for a lot of guests for our show. A few of them like haven't even replied to us, and I'm like, you know what? I took the Instagram route, and I know a lot of people check that folder where random people message, and like
Yeah,
these
especially if
random-
you're not friends, you go to a different folder.
exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
And your husband also has a podcast.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
need to also get in touch with him regarding
Yes.
our setup and how we can make this even better.
We'll plug it
Yes.
and we'll put it on the
What's the name of his
description.
podcast again?
Bridging the gap.
Bridging the Gap. And it's
Yes.
him and some other gentleman, right?
Yes. Julian King. That was his coach back in high school, but now they are business partners here in Dubai. They
Oh,
have a
cool.
basketball company.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
yeah.
And I teach a lot of kids, right?
Yes, a lot of kids from 5 till 18, I think.
Oh,
Balling.
that's nice.
Maybe you can go and ask for them to teach you basketball.
I used to play basketball every day in high school
Here we
until
go.
I sprained my ankle, and then that like got to me because I'm very sensitive to pain. So I'm like, I don't want this to ever happen to me again. And I
So
just
you
slowly
just
drifted
stopped.
out. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you good though?
Oh, they called me king of the court. They call me the LeBron James of Dubai.
So for those who are watching this who are Joshua's classmate or at least schoolmate when he was in high
No,
school.
but this is not about me. This is about Jamila. So we can
Please
move,
let us
we can
know.
move forward.
We'll have a one-on-one with my husband.
Oh
no.
goodness. Oh no, I'm kidding. Thank you.
Oh no.
So this is the basketball, right? Like, wow.
What do I do with it?
This goes in the hoop. Can I kick it? No.
Before we go to like the relationship and you talk about your husband, maybe we should like backtrack a little bit. So just about you and your parents, like how did they meet? Like it's such an interesting mix. Like how did that start?
So my dad, when he was younger, he used to play handball for Al Ain sports team, which is Ainawi. And then he used to travel a lot. Sorry. So he used to travel a lot. So he was in Philippines and my mom used to live in Baguio.
Nice.
So he was in Baguio one day and he saw my mom, and they started talking, whatever, and then my mom cooked adobo for him.
Was it like the halal adobo or the haram adobo?
I
with boy?
mean, I'm assuming it was haram back then. It was haram adobo. So she cooked adobo for him, and then he was like, you know what? I'll come back here after a year and I will marry you.
What?
Oh my
God! So that's what
gosh.
he did. He came back after a year and he married my mom and brought her here.
Wow.
He
That's
was
how
true to his word.
Yes, he
Wow.
fell in love because she cooked for him.
They say, the fastest way to a man's heart is through,
through food.
his stomach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like they just met and she cooked him adobo and then that was it.
Yeah.
Dude.
But how did they meet? Like they spoke and she's like, you know what? I like you. Come over to my place. I'm gonna cook for you. So it's
I don't know like the details exactly,
Uh-huh.
but you know how parents talk. Oh, when I met your dad, I cooked for him. So just those specific
Right,
details.
right.
Yeah.
It's not really anything like deep, So that's just what she said. Like I cooked for him, and he went. And also, my dad is Muslim, of course. We're Muslims, so he couldn't be like, let's have a relationship, see how it goes, or anything like that. So he was like, after a year, when I come back and you're still single, then I'll marry you.
okay.
But I will come back for you, basically.
Wow. Did he keep in contact during that 1 year, or it was like radio silence and then he just popped up?
Back in the 1800s, I'm not sure. I mean, back then, I'm not sure how it was, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure
I
it's
don't think
difficult to
so.
keep in touch. Like either you have to send a letter or
Think
something.
letters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people, like especially Filipinos, didn't even know where the UAE was during
Yeah.
that time, right?
Yeah,
So
because
it was-
they knew of Saudi because there were a lot of
Yeah.
Filipinos in Saudi, but no one knew about Dubai or UAE, or if ever it's Dubai that they know, not
Yes.
UAE. Which
yeah,
is
not
quite
even
weird.
Al Ain, like
Yeah,
a,
especially my dad being from an A, and she's gonna be like, "What is that? Like, where are you taking me?"
Where is that? Is it in Saudi?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We need your mom's recipe for that adobo because I
Right?
feel like a lot of people will fall in love because of that adobo.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you even like adobo or no?
I love adobo.
Nice.
Adobo is like one of my favorite
Really?
Filipino food. Adobo.
Do you cook?
Pancit. Yes, I do.
That's it. Yes.
Pancit. Oh, sorry.
It's
That's
okay.
okay.
Lumpia. So all the.
I was just gonna say
Filipino food.
lumpia because after pancit, it's always lumpia. You know,
Yeah.
those two go together.
You just
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah. So what do you cook?
Whatever. Honestly,
Nice. You cook
Whatever.
Filipino food?
No.
No.
Just
Emirati
That's kinda
food?
like no. Actually, it's always just we try to stay healthy.
Nice.
So it's always just grilled stuff. My husband cooks really, really well. Like I'm shocked. He is a way better cook than me. So mac and cheese, fried chicken. He was like, you had mac and cheese before, but not the black
Yes.
Oh.
mac and cheese, which
Nice.
is very different. So yeah, we do
Buttery.
have a lot of cheese.
Yeah.
Triple the cheese. So
You can
yeah.
invite us over if
For
ever.
sure.
Inviting myself
For
over.
sure.
I want to
For
have
sure.
some of
I'd
those
rather
mac
go
and
to
cheese.
her mom's house and try this adobo.
That's true.
Because I never liked adobo personally.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times when people made it like with a different flair. Like my mom now adds coconut milk in adobo,
What?
which really changes the whole game. So I like it in that essence. But
That's ginataan.
Yeah,
oh,
that's
yeah, that
true.
is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom's lying to me then. Yeah, but it's really cool. So then your mom moved here and
Yeah.
they actually got married over here.
Yeah.
Okay, and then how many siblings do you have?
I have one sibling, but I do have two half siblings because my mom was married before.
Okay.
So I have three siblings. They're all boys. So I'm the youngest one, which is a
Oh.
girl.
Okay, so you're
So-
like the princess.
The first, so
No.
you have an
Not
older
really.
brother. Yeah, I was talking to her about this earlier. I'm like, how does it feel like being around three brothers? Like, were you treated in a different way, and
Yeah.
how was that?
Well, my dad made sure that he treated all of us equally, which is really good. Even my half brothers, they were considered as his kids.
Oh, bless.
Right, so we were all treated equally. Whatever car my brother had, I have the same car. Whatever wherever he goes, like I can go the same places. So there was no like he's a boy and you're a girl. You can't do what they're doing type of thing. So we grew up equally.
That's
if
nice.
he gets a beating, I get a beating.
Everyone gets a
and
beating.
vice versa. So it's a party all the time. So yeah, we were equal growing up.
That's nice.
Yeah.
But isn't that unfair sometimes as siblings? Like, one would be the naughty child. You'd probably be neutral or the good child, but then that person gets a beating and everyone, your parents' moods just change.
Yeah.
And then everyone gets a beating. I don't know if your parents were like that, but My parents, my mom, especially my mom. My sister was the naughty child. And she would always get us in trouble.
Yeah.
She would get a spanking and then all of us would... I'm like, why me?
I was asleep the whole time. Whenever
What have I done to get this? What did I deserve to get this?
Exactly. I think that when your mom sees you, it's like...
her mood changes, right?
No, maybe it's a warning. Like, see, your brothers did this.
Exactly.
And if you ever do something like this is just like... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it is very weird though. Like, but parents, anything can happen. If I'm naughty, it changes her mood, so she takes it out on someone else as well. So
yeah, you were the naughty child, though.
Of course.
Yeah,
he was like
the bad boy.
How was it growing up in? Because you grew up in Alain, right? Yeah. Okay, how was it growing up there?
My husband always asks me that question, actually, and I can't seem to explain it to him, because even though we're Emirati, I keep telling him we're very different than other Emirati families, and I cannot explain it to him because he's never been around Emirati families or Emirati people. We grew up really open to a lot of things. We would travel a lot. My parents had a lot of foreign friends, so we weren't around Arabs. We were around Filipinos, Americans, British, Indian, Chinese. They had a lot of international friends, basically. So I learned a lot from them, and I grew up differently and had a different perspective in life. So I moved out actually when I was 19. I moved out of our house when I was 19. I went to work in Abu Dhabi. And when I was living in Abu Dhabi, I was like, how did I survive living in Al Ain? Going back to Al Ain is like there is absolutely nothing to do, nobody to talk to, nowhere to go. And when you finally grow up, you start to see the bigger picture, and you look around, it's like, I was around these people my whole life.
Yeah.
And when I moved out, I was like, I realized why I moved out. I needed something that fits me, because I never fit in Al Ain. If I go to the Emiratis, it's like, you don't belong here. I didn't know any Filipinos.
Nice.
Or half Filipinos. So I wasn't with the Emirati community, and I wasn't with the Filipino, and I wasn't with the half, which is crazy.
Would you say that affected you? How would that affect you? Because for me, growing up, I was with a lot of Filipino community. Yeah. Same for Josh. But then I would go back to Lebanon, have my vacations there, and then I would be surrounded by a lot of Lebanese people. And to me, it was just like a shift.
Yeah.
So how was that for you being with Emirati? Do you feel like it changes how you present yourself to each community?
Yeah, I definitely have different personalities. I even told my husband it's interesting when you speak 3 different languages, because it's like you have 3 different personalities.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you joke in Tagalog, it's different in English. When you joke in English, it's different in Arabic. So it's like you have 3 different personalities. When I've only been around Emiratis really when I went to college at 18. That was the only time I've ever been around Emiratis, and first time I've ever worn an abaya and shela. And it was just interesting to see how I needed to tone myself down, and how I needed to adapt to them, because I seemed so advanced to them. Even my English, they would make fun. It's like, why are you saying burger? It's burger. Because I speak English fluently, so I know how to say it right. But those things that they don't really understand gets made fun of.
Yeah.
So I definitely had to adjust a lot being around Emiratis. But whenever I get asked where do you get more, in Dubai or in Philippines, I always say Philippines. Although my life in Philippines is really different. We're not we don't have a big house, we don't have a car, we don't have it's just very, very simple life that I like, and you don't have to be super extra like you are here.
Yeah.
And people really like you there.
Yeah.
They accept you. If you're half Filipino, they will absolutely love you and support you. But here is when you tell them I'm half Emirati, it's no, you don't. You are not Emirati.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
That's true though, because I do have other half Emirati friends, and they also have the same sentiments. There's this, I don't know, not a secret, but there's this unknown rule that if you're not fully Emirati, you're not Emirati at all.
They're gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is I don't know. Like, to me, how amazing it is that you actually have two different cultures. And as you said, if you go to the Philippines, you're exposed to this totally different world or totally different upbringing as to how you are here.
Yeah.
And to me, going to the Philippines and being exposed to a different type of way of living, I would say, really, really humbled me a lot.
Yes.
Because coming from Dubai, like, you're half Emirati, like, I'm sure you're also, like, exposed to this world of, like, being spoiled.
Yeah.
And then you go back to the Philippines and it's like, oh, it's not the same.
Everything is just simple. Like, you don't need the fanciest bag. You don't need the nicest car with the 2 numbers, plate numbers.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to have makeup. You just go out. You just be you.
You don't have to be flashy at all.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And I think it's nice to also see that side. Like, you can be, as you said, different personalities. You go back to the Philippines, you know how to adapt. Like, people wouldn't know if you're wearing a real Louis Vuitton or a fake Louis Vuitton. And no one really gives, care around whatever you're wearing.
Yeah.
Very simple life. And then you come back here and you're like, actually, now I have to start living life again, like how it is, and making sure that I present myself well to another set of community.
Yeah, now here you can't go out wearing slippers and shorts.
Oh yeah, the national clothes of the Philippines and vest, like a Michael Jordan tee or like
or a jersey.
Jersey.
Yeah, you can't go to the mall with like slides and like socks. Although some people do.
Yeah.
But like in
the
the
Filipinos
Philippines,
mostly.
Yeah, I guess it's because of the climate as well, right? People don't really want to put all fancy clothes, and then they get out and you start sweating again. And it's just a lax community, so. That it's nice to like have that different perspective as well. How awesome was it to like live your own life at 19? And how did your dad take that, being, you know, an Emirati guy?
Or your parents, for that matter.
And Filipino as well, because it's not really that, how do we
normal
say it?
that you leave the house at a certain age, or at least before you even get married.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. Yeah, like I said, I grew up differently. I think that I'm grateful to have my dad who's not very strict when it comes to certain things. When I was 19, I decided to drop out of college, actually. I was like, I cannot study. I can't wrap my head around all of these books. It's just not me. I just want to work. So that's what I decided to do. And I talked to him and I explained to him what I wanted to do. And at first, he was having second thoughts. It's like, what is she doing? Like, she's 19. She's going to live alone. It's kind of suspicious, you know? But then eventually, he thought about it in, like, a different way, which is the thing that I wanted was secure because I had a contract. So it's not like I can just be fired anytime or leave or something bad will happen. And it is a government job, and it's a good job, right? So he thought about it in that way. It's like, okay, well, you know what? She's going to be secure. She has a job. She has a contract. She'll be fine. So he was like, I'm going to just, you know, see how it goes. Because he had to sign a paper to let me go. Because I wasn't 21.
Because he's your official guardian. Yeah.
So he had to sign papers. And he was like, you know what? When I was signing those papers, I felt like you were going to be something in the future. So he was like, I trusted you. I believe in you. So I signed those papers and, you know, subhanAllah, I became a controller. And, you know, every month or every week is just something new at work, which involves me in it. And he just agreed to it. Being 19 with a lot of money is crazy.
I was just gonna say, working at 19, like your friends must be like, let's invite her all the time.
Yeah.
And you lived alone as well.
Yes, I lived
alone. So it was
alone.
like, yo, what does this girl do? Did she win the lottery?
I lived alone when I was 19. My salary back then was 25,000 dirhams.
Dude.
What?
What are you saying? As a 19-year-old,
yes,
what would
first time ever.
Yeah.
My dad is not the type to like give us a lot of money. It's just when you ask him or during the weekends.
Yeah.
I never seen or never held a big amount of money until I started working and I had my first salary, which they had to like give me back the previous one. So my first salary was 50,000 dirhams in my bank account.
Wow.
And I was like, it was gone in a week.
We're going to Vegas.
It was gone in a week. Like, I didn't know how to act for years.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do with that money. I would just, like any other girl, I guess, would buy clothes, shoes, makeup, restaurants, whatever, bags and all that. But then I had a moment when I was like really, really broke, and I never asked for money, and I didn't have anybody to ask. And I was like, you know what, Jamila, you can't keep doing this to yourself. You need to like start being smart with your money. Right. And also my dad never gave me money when I started working. So I knew I didn't have anybody to fall back on. So I was like, 22, 23, I was like, I need to straighten up. Like, this can't keep happening. I need to save money. I need to be smart with my money. Right. So that's when I started being better with my money.
But see, that's good because she left on her own terms. You learned on your own terms as well. It wasn't like someone enforcing rules on you. And I think that's really great for your dad to actually allow you to experience that on your own, because then you will be able to navigate on your own whatever happens in your future. And I think the reason why your dad was like that, because you said he traveled a lot as well. Yeah. So he saw how it was with different cultures.
Yeah, he was exposed to like a lot of different people, and he's like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's give her a chance. Let's see what she can do with it.
Exactly. That's really empowering as a 19-year-old leaving your nest. Yeah. The comfort of your mom's home. Cooking
like fending
and everything
for yourself as well.
Yeah. How was that? Like, would you cook for yourself, or would you always like eat out and order in?
First few months I was definitely eating out. Like, any restaurant I saw cheap, expensive, I would eat at that restaurant. And I bought my first car as well when I was 20.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, when I was 20. Yeah, I bought my first car, and I still have that car. Nice. I have like an attachment to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely order all the time, but then, like I said, I realized I can't keep doing that, so that's when I started cooking for myself more often.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is so cool though. Like at 19, I was like still like struggling to find a 2 dirhams to take a bus.
Now I feel bad.
I'm saying, it's always good to have a good perspective of both these things as well. Because even if I was 19 and I had that much money, I don't know, like I would have like spent it on like, I don't know, man.
What would you spend it on?
For me?
Yeah.
If I had that much money?
At 19.
Yeah.
At 19? Maybe like...
Video games, cars.
No.
Girls, not just kidding.
Taking girls out.
Barasti. Everything will go at Barasti.
Traveling.
No. I wasn't much of a travel head.
Yeah.
Back then. But that's really good though. It's got a really good amount of money. You started out very young. Yeah. Did you ever live outside the UAE for a while, or it was?
I lived in Philippines. Also, before I say where, my dad also always encourages me to be independent. So that's what I love most about him, is that he encourages me to like, be myself. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I don't cover up, and to be independent and always just depend on yourself. Nice. And my mom as well, being a housewife, her experience is a bit different. So she always tells me, even if you married a rich man, you still have to work. Mm-hmm. And you still need to have your own money. Like, even if you married the richest man ever.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
And now I see it. Now that I'm older, I realize that, they are right. Because, sometimes you get tired and be like, it's whatever. Like, I'm going to just marry a rich guy, stay at home. But then when you do stay at home, it's like, I don't want to stay at home.
Yeah, you're like,
I can't do it.
Bored. Especially for you, working at such a young age. That's going to be difficult for you to detach yourself from being a working woman. Yeah. Yeah. But really, kudos to your dad. Like, really bless him for being an Arab man. Mm-hmm. That is not the norm that we see across different households, not just Emirati, like GCC, Lebanese.
Yes.
So really, good job, Dad.
Yes, love you, Dad.
Hopefully one day we get to meet him. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure he's gonna watch.
Now we have to be prim and proper, dude. Your dad's gonna watch it.
I should cover up my tattoos. Then.
No,
what are you doing in
my dad is the coolest.
Oh, that's nice.
No. I lived in Philippines before. I studied high school in Philippines. My dad took me to Philippines because you know how in Philippines is only like till grade 10?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he was like, go study there so you can finish earlier.
Yeah.
I was like,
skip the 2 years.
So I tried to study in Olongapo, and it was crazy. It was like really, really crazy. It was crazy in the way that it's scary, that it's not safe, basically.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do this, but I want to come back. Mm-hmm. And then when I graduated, I wanted to study criminology. But the thing is, if I studied that here, I would need to be in the police, and then I would need to study criminology.
Right.
And I didn't want to be in the police. Like, I didn't want to train.
Yeah.
In the army, basically. It's the same training.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to take me to America to study criminology. because that's more dangerous than being 19 in Abu Dhabi. That's
True.
better,
Yeah.
than 19,
I can see that. I can
than
see
19
that.
in America. You know what I mean? So that's smart too from his side. So, so I studied in UP Diliman, which is like for a month, and then I left because it was so hot.
You couldn't
It
handle
was
it.
so hot.
Yeah.
There was no ACs.
Oh, I thought you said so hard. Like,
Hot.
hot.
So
Electric
hot.
fans. They don't have air conditioning.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
not
I know,
all.
I know.
I
Yeah.
wish like a fan in front of you. It was just a ceiling.
Yeah,
fan.
it was a ceiling fan
And
that
it-
would rotate.
Yeah,
And it wouldn't
it's
even be on a
hot.
fast speed. It would just be like,
It would be in
And
setting
it's
one.
so hot, and the classroom is so big. And
Yeah.
then after that, I was like, Dad, I'm sorry. I know you spent on me, but I really can't do this. Like, I really can't. He was like, you know what? Your safety and your happiness is more important, so just come back here.
okay.
Luckily,
Oh.
when I quit in UP after a week, they reported in TV Patrol there was a dead body thrown outside.
Oh,
What?
gosh. In the UP
Outside,
quarters.
yeah. Oh gosh. So it was that bad, and my mom was freaking out too because we never live in Manila.
Yeah.
So she was freaking out like all the time. And I had a class that finishes at 7 p.m. So she was like, halika, uwi na tayo. You know, like, we're not going to go out. We're not going to eat anywhere. We're just going to go home straight away.
Yeah.
And we didn't know where we were living. We didn't know the area. So she was just freaking out all the time. And it made me feel bad.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? It's not worth it to put her in this so much
Right.
stress. So let's just go back.
But it's
So,
nice for your mom to also accompany you.
Yeah.
She knew, like, okay, she's going to go to Manila. This is very different.
Yeah.
Same for me. My dad didn't allow me to study in Manila.
Yeah.
Studied in Olongapo because
Yeah.
at least I was closer to my grandparents.
Yeah.
But to them, like, from Dubai to Manila, no way. No way. Especially
If I was
for
in
a girl.
Olongapo, I would have stayed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Manila is too different.
But you know
Yeah.
how Arabs in general, or like Emiratis, there are like specific universities that they accept once you finish, and UP was one of them.
Right.
So I had to go to UP. There were
You have to
no
go to the best of
schools-
the best, right?
Yeah.
There were no
'Cause-
schools in Olongapo that I could go to.
Yeah,
and be
no way.
accepted.
Because
Yeah.
there's no university yet in Olongapo. It wasn't that big.
Yeah.
To come here and be like, here's my diploma. They'll be like, from where?
Where is this from?
Where
The
did you take
internet?
that from? Where did you download your certificate from?
Wait, so your mom went with you in hope that she'd be there with you for like the whole 4
Yeah.
years you were studying?
Yeah.
Oh wow, she didn't go and like drop you, like give you a like tell you about the vibe and everything, but she was gonna stay with you for the
Yeah.
whole time. Wow,
It's really nice. of
That's
your
really
mom
nice.
To do
Yeah.
that as well.
yeah.
Also, she's the only girl.
Yeah.
And
That
she-
is
maybe
true.
her mom
Stuck-
felt,
stuck
yeah,
with me.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's like my little baby.
But I can't imagine it being that bad because I'm in love with Manila. Minus the traffic, I'm in love with it.
You're from Manila?
Not really. It's quite close to Manila. It's from a place called Bulacan. My mom's from a place
Yeah.
called Bulacan.
Oh, my aunt lives in Bulacan.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. Like,
Bulacan.
Yeah, Bulacan.
Bulacan.
what did I say?
No, I was saying
Bulacan.
Bulacan.
Because he said it. So, like, you adopted Bulacan.
Man, this
Bulacanyo ka ba?
it's the Conyo accent
Yeah.
that I have.
Yeah. It's okay.
But I honestly think I can run Manila if I was there. Like
Whoa.
my brother actually
calm
also
down.
studied in UP Diliman, and he was mugged. He also joined a fraternity, so
Oh my god.
so he's like
So he was
crazy and
running
stuff.
around naked.
No, he never did that
Oh,
naked run
okay.
though. But he said that there's a point where during the what's it called? Not the inauguration.
Fraternity something.
When he was rushing for the fraternity, they would take a key, stick it between his fingers, and like twist it.
Why?
And drink
Why
a
the
full
torture?
bottle of whiskey and stuff. I don't know, just to see, you know what? This is a very prestigious fraternity you're joining. I want to see how dedicated you are into
I
joining.
mean, good grades, I think. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He failed a lot, but he's gonna get angry if I said that. But still, it was like I feel like it isn't as bad as I imagined it to be. But from hearing from different people, now it's getting to me that okay,
I
maybe
think
I
it's-
don't think I would have survived in Philippines unless it was
Yeah.
in those really elite, prestigious
BGC.
BGC universities, and I had like my own condo on like the
Makati.
30th floor. Yeah, yeah.
Ateneo, La Salle.
Yeah.
That's where you would fit in for
Yeah.
sure.
I think it's also different because I'm a woman. You know, I was like taking the cab at night, and my mom would freak out taking the cab like early in the morning, and I was also like kind of scared because you know how taxis are, and
Yeah.
then, you know, when there are snatchers that would just open the door and grab you. And like I said, after a week after I dropped out, you know, they just threw a body outside the campus, which is scary.
Was it a boy or a girl?
It
That
was a
body?
girl.
Oh, so yeah, it
I'll
really
never
triggered your
forget that.
mom.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I'll never forget that. So I told my dad, see, like, I think I made the right choice. They're just throwing bodies out here like it's a dumpster. Like,
Yeah, because
who
it's
does
a
that?
huge ground. Like it's very. I'm sure you've been in UP, right?
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
to UB.
So there are areas where there's not a lot of light, and a lot of things can
Grass
happen
and just
Yeah.
yeah, untouched land. So
Yeah.
no.
so after that you came back to Dubai, and then you decided that's when you started working.
I came back and I went to the aviation college in Al. And that's when I had signed a contract with the company that I currently work for. So the company initially, the contract says initially that I needed to finish my studies in order to be a controller. But then when I went to training as an assistant first, because you need to be an assistant first and then a controller, I was like, you know what? I like it here. I don't want to go back. I was like, I just want to be an assistant. And then the manager at the base was like, why would you want to be an assistant? I was like, I didn't want to tell him my personal reasons of not going back. Yeah. But I was like, I don't know. I just don't think I want to be a controller. But they wanted me to be a controller because I spoke English really, really well. So he was like, but if you quit right now, he was like, nobody has ever done this before. Like, why are you quitting? Like, this is an opportunity. He was like, if you quit, he was like, you will never be a controller again. I was like, whatever. It's whatever for me, honestly. So I took that risk. And then after 2 years, he was like, he was leaving. He was going somewhere else. He was like, I'm not leaving here until you go train and become a controller. So you're going to the course. I was like, you're not even going to ask me if I want to? He was like, no, I'm telling you to go and you have to, ace it. And I was like, I thought about it. I was like, you know what? Maybe this career is like meant for me since it came back to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me just do it. And and now I'm stuck. Now I'm in love with it.
Nice.
That's good. That's good.
So you've been there for 9 years now?
9 years. I always say 7 years. I don't know why. It feels like it's 6-7 years.
So what did you do in the 2 years then when did you take another job? Or if I'm not understanding?
I've always been there.
Okay.
I've always been there. I was an assistant for 2 years, and then I became a controller. And then as a controller, I also became a training an instructor. So now the newbies, I train them, and also a safety officer. I don't mean to toot my own horn.
Yes, girl.
A woman with many hats.
But yeah, I've also became a safety officer. So
cool.
Nice.
yeah.
So you've been there for a long time, and I'm sure a lot of people like really put out their respect to you. That's really nice.
Yeah.
It's really cool, like on the occasion
Women in
of
the work
International Women's Day.
Yeah.
It's good that like you talk about these empowering people such as yourself and such as yourself as well. Because not a lot of people actually love what they do. And like especially like other people like for me, I was really miserable at my last job. So I can really see it, like there's so much of a difference in terms of a personality when someone really loves what they do, especially since you spend like your shift you said was 6 days.
Yeah.
And then like 4 days off. So it's
off.
really crazy. Like this is half of my life basically I'm going to be spending here. So if you don't like it, it's going to take its toll on you.
Yeah.
But it's nice that she found something that she's passionate about, right? And she started at such a young age. She was able to climb the ladder, and now like she's doing really amazing at her work.
And just to be clear, there's a fine line or like a difference between I love what I do, like I love my profession, but I don't really like the what do you call it? The place that I work at.
The environment.
The environment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the only difference, which is exhausting as well mentally. But I do love my profession. If I can move somewhere else, like Dubai airport or whatever, then I would be, really happy to do so.
Yeah, because it also brings in a lot of external stress factors to it, right? Because you love what you're doing, but then you might have a boss that's not okay, or you might have colleagues who are just chitting and chatting here and
or
there.
the commute, since you live in Dubai, that's also another thing that or you must have been, you're okay with it now?
Yeah, I'm fine with it, honestly. It's just really the community or the people that you work with.
Okay.
And also it's a male dominated place because it's in the Air Force.
Yeah.
So you get looked down a lot, or you don't get involved in a lot of things, and then they tell you, oh, you don't do anything. You know what I mean? So it's just those type of things that are annoying as a woman.
And you'd have to push a lot of barriers to just get a point across where men can just say something and they're like, oh, good idea.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Exactly.
But women, sorry, dude, you're the only guy over
No, I
here.
love working with women. To be honest, I rather
Yeah.
work with
Yeah.
women because we get along better than I do with males.
Yeah.
Because I'm not an alpha male, so I don't have like, hey, what are you doing? Like I'm like more of like, hey, hey Tracy.
girl.
Yeah.
Or he's a Labrador.
Dude, do I have to think twice about this song?
No, I'm just saying like it's. I like to have a lot of fun
Yes.
at work, basically.
Yeah.
So like like hey, how was your tell me the new gossip that you have for me today. So I'm like one of
Yeah.
those guys instead of like
So you're just
work,
fun to
work,
be
work.
with.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
because I spend a lot of my day there. I mean, I still do the work that I'm assigned, but then
Yeah.
I still like like I can finish that quickly, and then like I like the
But that's so true.
chismes, the gossip, everything.
Marites.
Yeah.
Marites ka dyan.
Yeah, let's go to the water cooler and then talk there for a bit, and then
But that's so true. I've been to his office like last week. It's actually an expo. So I met a lot of his workmates and they all like sung praises. They're like, we love Joshua.
stop it.
But it's the same
That's
wherever you
cute.
go. Yeah, even if
Yeah.
even in your past job as well, like everyone, you get along with a lot of people.
I'm really good
well.
with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone says, "Oh, you should be working in HR," but then I don't know. I could never fire someone if I had to.
No. Yeah. HR is kind of harsh. Like if somebody does something wrong, that's like on your
I hate reprimanding people.
Yeah.
Like even when Janine does bad things, I'm just like,
quiet.
you know what? I can live with it.
Good luck with our kids in the future.
Oh.
It's your job to deal with them.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit and like play video games and watch podcasts.
Well-
That's all I'm gonna do.
Yeah, in front of your children. Well, speaking of children, you're going to have a quarter, well, actually an eighth of a Tanzanian child, Emirati, Filipino, and American,
Yeah.
because your husband is American. So would you be able to tell us a little bit about how is your relationship? How did you guys meet?
Okay, so we met in 2020 before the lockdown, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
We met at the beach. He approached me and asked for my Instagram, and I looked at him up and down. I'm like, just because you're cute doesn't mean you get my number. No, he asked for my number, and then I was like, just because you're cute doesn't mean you get my number. I was like, you get my Instagram.
Nice.
He was like, Instagram? I was like, yeah. So I gave him my Instagram, and then we talked, and he was like, why didn't you give me your number? I was like, I don't know, maybe you're a freak, or I don't know, maybe you're a psycho. Like, I don't want to give you my number. So
Not
we
direct
talked.
access right away.
Yeah, no, I was like, you get my Instagram so I can see like his other pictures as well and see if like, is he bald? Does he have a girlfriend? You know, you have to investigate.
I need to screen him, right?
Yeah, you have to investigate. So the next day, I investigated, blah, blah, blah. We started talking. And he was stuck here during the pandemic. He didn't go back home. So after meeting him after a week, it was a lockdown. So it was just me and him talking like all the time and just, being together. And it was a lot of like crazy things that happened very, very, very early on in our relationship. During the pandemic and lockdown, I think everybody was depressed
Right.
and sad and stuff. And I was going through a lot, and he was just really there for me. And he just made me realize a lot of things. And then one day I just looked at him and I was like, you're going to be my husband one day, right?
Oh.
And then he has like a whole different perspective in life and love and marriage. He was like, shut up. Like, that's not happening. We're not getting married. But, eventually, things happened, and now we're married. We got married in December.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
See, women are always right. She knew.
It's the gut feeling.
She knew.
And he knows as well. He was like, you know what? Sometimes women always see things that men can't, or feel things that men cannot, right? So he knew when I told him that, he knew that it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right? He was just in denial.
It's like,
He was playing hard to get.
Yeah. But how cute.
Yeah.
We've stalked you guys, so we've seen, a little bit of the relationship
Yeah.
as well.
But first of all, my question: why would someone approach someone in a beach? Like I've approached girls in different places as well prior to meeting you, and also maybe after. But like in the beach is something like I feel.
We were in Cove Beach.
Where's the Cove Beach?
It's in Blue
Waters?
Blue Waters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so what's up?
It's like a beach club, right?
It's a beach
yeah.
club.
Oh, okay. So okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so
Makes
music
sense.
was playing and people were dancing and stuff like that. and he was standing, I was standing, so he approached me, type of thing. It wasn't like a beach
But
tanning.
why
Okay,
not
okay.
though? Why not?
No, I thought it was a beach initially.
but
Like
why
she's
not beach,
sunbathing,
I mean?
and then he would come. Hey,
Yeah, why not the beach?
I don't know. Like when I go to the beach and I see like
People
random
relaxing.
guys as well, I'm like, oh, these guys are like here to film girls.
Like, what if like I was reading a book or something, and then someone cute came along? If that guy is cute, I'd be like, okay, you got my Instagram too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
Why
because I
not?
don't have that super hot body for a beach. I'll be like the guy in the beach wearing jeans and a hoodie, you know, like,
And a t-shirt, but it's wet because you swam with your shirt.
like super sandy. I'm like, hi, can I get your number? Like, so yeah, but
"Oh, you
it's
creep."
really confident. He must have a very good body then, and like so if he was like in one of those
Yeah.
situations,
I mean,
right?
he was the
Exactly.
only guy who was like 6'7". So
He's
you can't.
6'7"?
He's 6'7".
Yeah, so you can't miss him.
I was like almost like my height then.
I knew he was tall, but 6'7", like wow,
And I'm only 5'4".
Wow,
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
so you cannot miss him. And I was the only one wearing all white, so I guess he couldn't miss me
Ooh,
too.
he's like, that's my bride right there.
I
Were
foresee
you
this.
surrounded by friends at that time?
Yeah, I was with friends.
Look at him, really confident.
Oh,
Just
man.
shot his shot
Yeah.
right
That's
then and there.
basketball, shooting a shot.
He
yeah.
is
I
a
know,
basketball
I know
player,
a thing or
so.
two about basketball. So.
Yeah.
But that's really romantic. Like I don't hear a lot of stories about people who meet in bars and clubs actually. So that's unique. Like most of the stories you hear now these days are like what Janine and I experienced, like a Tinder story
Yeah.
or something. But that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But you said something. Would you say that because you met right in the middle of the pandemic, like it really heightened your how you guys, meshed well together?
Yeah.
Because it was just literally like you and him,
Yeah.
and we were at that time of uncertainty. Like
Yeah.
even with you, we were just getting out of the lockdown situation. So it
Yeah,
was nice talking to someone, but really talking a lot to someone.
Yeah.
Because, like, you don't go out, right? So did you feel like there was a lot of, I would say, communication between the two of you just because your usual time that you would do something else?
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. We talked about that. And he was like, if it wasn't for the lockdown, he would still be around, getting to know girls. Like, he's very honest with me, which I love, like, since the beginning. But he's also very aware of things. So when I opened up to him and just became my real self, like, I was really naked, like, like, I was like, here's, like, all of me.
Nice.
Basically.
Yeah.
So he's seen the good and the bad and the worst. And he said that if it wasn't for that, we just looked at it in a way that it's just meant to be, basically. Because if not, he would still, be around getting to know girls and, dating and stuff like that. But one thing about him is, like, he knows when he sees a good woman. So he was like, and you're that, like, I could see from the start that I could trust you and you would be there for me and all that. So that's why, like, we got into a relationship. And then eventually, after 1,000,001 talks, we, like, decided to get married. It wasn't just like looking at each other and be like, I love you, you love me, let's get married type of thing. We had, like, to have understandings with a lot of things that
Right.
maybe if I didn't meet him and just married, say, an Emirati guy, it's not going to be the same.
Right.
It's not going to be the same talk. It's not going to be the same life, for sure. So, yeah.
And that contributes as well to you being independent because he's a guy from America who's actually open to things. So that's really, really good. It meshes well with your relationship. But one thing that you said as well is that before you got married, you talked about a lot of things.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yes.
I think some people can rush into things because they're so in love. As you said, like, I love you, you love me, let's get married. But most of the time, it doesn't just work that well. And when it comes to, like, when push comes to shove and things get really bad, financially, emotionally, whatever it is, you don't have the basis of what are we going to do as two different people in a relationship. So what were the things that you had to, like, agree upon to really understand, okay, this is the person for me?
Well, first of all, like, I don't mean this in, like, a bad way. We all have issues, for sure. We
Yeah.
all have issues.
Yeah.
Not me. Clean as a
Perfect.
I'm good.
I'm straight. I'm okay.
Mr. Perfect.
Sana all.
Sana all.
I should do a course for men, how to be the perfect guy.
For sure.
Dude, not from you.
Not from you. But we definitely talked about getting into therapy because he also mentioned that he went through a lot of things, but he didn't get better just by himself. He needed help, and he needed a lot of help from different people. And the problem with me is I don't ask for help. It's like shameful for me to ask for help. I think that's a woman thing as well. Like, we got it. You know, once you're independent, you will do literally everything from A to Z by yourself. So I never asked for help. And when he first told me I need to get to therapy, like, I was offended. And I looked at myself like, wait, like something is wrong with, I knew something was wrong with me, but I didn't want to admit it, you know? Yeah. So he was like, you need to get into therapy, blah, 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 blah. And I denied it. I was like, no, I'm not going to therapy. Like, I got this, you know, like Allah got me basically. Like, all of a sudden I was like religious and, you know, this and that. But then I had to look at it in a different way because I really did want to be with him. I wanted to, you know, marry him. And looking at him and the way he talks and the way he views things, I knew I needed to get like on his level, if not even more. So I had to look at it in a different way. I was like, you know what, in the future, I will have kids and I can't carry whatever I'm carrying right now. So I do need therapy. Yeah. And also whatever I was going through was affecting our relationship. So I was like, if this keeps going on, I will not be with this man by next year for sure, or even next month. Right. So I looked at it, I was like, okay, I do need therapy. And then, you know, talking more, we're like, me and you, we do need therapy as a couple as well, which, you know, it's not shameful or it means something is wrong. You know, but actually it means like you want your relationship to be stronger and better. Yes. True. Right? Right. And then we looked at, you know, where we wanted to live, how we're going to raise our kids. And he converted to Islam last year as well. So, you know, a lot of things changed for me last year as well. So we were like, how are we going to raise our kids? Where are they going to live? How are you going to speak to our kids? You know, all those little details we had to talk about. Like, you know, where we're going to live, how they're going to have money by 18, you know, what is going on, what is that, how many kids, like every single detail in life we talked about. That's and good. Sometimes when I go on live on TikTok, girls will ask me, how is married life? Like, would you advise me to get married? I was like, of course, marriage is beautiful when you marry the right person. But before you marry that person, you got to ask the right questions. Right. Like, stop asking the man where he's going, what he's wearing, who he's talking to. You got to start asking him, you know, really important questions. Right. You know, it's not enough that a man has money as well. It's important to know, like, can he manage his money? Yes. What if one day he wakes up without money? What are you going to do? What are we going to do? Right. You know, so it's a lot of things that we had. He knows a lot about money, about businesses, and I didn't. I just knew how to save money. So he had to teach me how to invest, how to keep money, you know, save, how to keep your money. And then he was like, if God forbid something bad happens to me and we have kids, I need you to know what to do. So we had like a sit down and be like, ABC is what you need to do, blah, 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 blah. So it's a lot of uncomfortable talks that we had to do before getting married and be like, okay, we understand each other. You know, and those are the basic things like money and life and communication and stuff like that. And, you know, mental health and all that. And then I was like, okay, I think we can do this. We can get married now. Yeah. It was a lot of work for a whole year just to like reach this point, basically.
You guys are really complement each other though, because like a guy coming in from America, you growing up here, there's a lot of differences, but you came to a conclusion that, okay, despite our differences, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. And he said that there's a lot of uncomfortable conversation. And I was just reading this quote yesterday saying that if there's an uncomfortable conversation, it's probably something that needs to be had because you have to get past through that hurdle and understand, okay, what is your point of view here? What's your point of view here? Because if we just sweep everything under the rug, just like probably generations and our parents and their parents did, it's never gonna work for anyone. And us too, like we were very honest from the beginning. When we were dating, we're like, I told you I want to get married. I'm dating for marriage. I'm not dating just to like play and all that.
Pastime and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we were as well very transparent from the moment we started dating each other. I had to stop talking to a lot of girls, unfortunately, because of you. No, but I whatever you said, actually, I really, really can resonate with because both Janine and I were very big advocates for mental health.
Yeah.
You know how important therapy as well, even that might be a very
Touchy
uncomfortable subject. Like a lot of people, especially when I spoke to about therapy, they're like, why are you in therapy? Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Just like maybe read the Bible or do a meditation or prayer and something. But sometimes there's a lot of guilt and shame that you are carrying, and it's not also fair. Like if I unload everything on Janine.
Yeah. And what you said was right. Unload it to your children. That's like you're passing on generational hurt and generational mental instability that you don't want your children to inherit.
So I'm gonna say this, like Janina had this conversation before, I'm gonna say it on the podcast, but one of her biggest fears is if our children become serial killers. And she told me this, and like it always
really? Yeah, because I see all of it. Well, we watch documentaries and you see these serial killers or like just murderers, and how
like, oh my mom
how did they
didn't
get
love
to that,
me enough. So
right?
like we have to also take these things into consideration because
let me scare her more. Sorry. I watched just like a few days ago, I watched this kid who was 13 that killed his 4-year-old sister by stabbing her to death, and then when he grew up he was like, I don't really feel remorse, I don't feel anything. It's a long story, but it does happen. But those are the things, like serial killers. What if, you know, for us, it's like, what if they don't follow Islam? What if they start doing things? What if they don't believe in God? Like, how are we going to explain to them, you know, Islam in a right way, not in a scary way? Like, how are we going to make sure they don't make mistakes that we did, you know, and stuff like that? So what if they're sick? What if they have Down syndrome? What if they have cancer? What if they don't have an eye? What if they're autistic? It's so many things that could happen. Yeah. So many things that you have to be prepared of. That's why I'm like, I want to have a baby. I want to have a baby. He was like, no, trust me, you are not ready. And I believe him. And I know, like, deep down inside, of course, I'm a woman and I love him. So that's why I want to have, you know, babies. But deep down, I know I'm not ready yet because it's just so much that you need to
it'll change your life completely, especially once children are involved in the relationship. But yeah, it's a part of growing as well. I know it's not for everyone. I know married couples as well who are not interested in having kids. Maybe they'll take another substitute, like such as adopting a dog or adoption, or there's sometimes
traveling, just like, living their lives.
Exactly.
It's just different. And again, you as a couple, as what you always give out as your advice on TikTok to any women or to any men, know your partner, understand what their goals are, and if you guys are aligned, great. If not, then it's a crap show waiting to unravel itself.
You just live and you learn, basically. Next,
you know? Exactly.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
I like that,
because we also come from completely different backgrounds when it comes to our past relationships. Like she was more of I want a long-term relationship, but for me at that point I was like, you know, playing around, doing my thing and stuff. So yeah, like, but when I met Janine, like we both were super transparent with each other. We started talking about like what do we want to achieve in the next few years? How does your bank account look? But not in that exact like direct tone and stuff.
Not in
but
monetary wise, but how are you doing financially? Because also me, like as a woman who's working, I thank God I have good finances. Like I don't want to marry someone who's in debt, for example, because then it's just gonna drag everything down. And it sounds very superficial sometimes because it's money that we're talking about, but at the end of the day, you guys have to be aligned. Financially, emotionally, physically. There's just too many aspects to it, to a relationship.
Yeah, when it comes to a relationship, there's no way of saying like, oh, let's see. You really need to be calculated. To some extent, I would say. Of course, you should be prepared for everything that gets thrown your way, but at the same time, I would rather have things more calculated and more things that I know what's going to happen to me tomorrow, to us tomorrow. So it's a really different, very touchy subject, I would say. But in this day and age, you need to really be sure because, a lot of things can happen. A lot of things can get in the way. Sorry, I'm just looking at the...
It's fine. Because we did say before we got married, like a week or 2 weeks before we got married, we were like, listen, he was like, listen, once we get married, there's no divorce. Do you hear me? I was like, I'm down.
I like this guy.
I'm down. But so he came to my dad and he was like, you know I want to marry Jamila, and I know that, you know, if I have money today, if I don't have money tomorrow, she'll still be there for me because I did, you know, like money is important, but for some, like for me, it's not the biggest, like the number one concern for me. or, you know, anything else. I just see him as a person, you know, the way he treats his family, the way he is. He loves to learn, and he always like is willing to change for the better.
Nice.
You can't just tell him, you know, something that's wrong with him, and then he'll be like, you know, he's always willing to change for the better, you know. And I can talk to him knowing that he would understand me and not take offense, basically. So
you found your person.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
Yeah.
How was that with your dad? I mean, knowing already the background and how you speak about your dad, you have a good relationship. But how was it introducing a non-Emirati, or at least a non-GCC or Arab boyfriend to your dad? How was that?
At first, I would always, so in the beginning, let me rewind back a little bit. Before I was going to marry an Emirati, which is like a whole different story for another day.
Yeah.
Part 2 next week.
And I told my dad about it, and then something happened with the guy, and then my dad was like, you know what, just cancel it, because the guy was like very, very strict, you know, Emirati.
Yeah.
He was like, I need you to cover up, and how come your mom doesn't speak Arabic? How come this? How come that? And all of that stuff. I was like, and I only asked him for one thing. I asked him to like, I don't want to live with your parents, because you know how Arabs are.
Yes.
I was like, I don't want to live with your parents. I want to have my own place. He said okay, and then eventually he changed his mind. Before coming to meet my dad, he was like, my dad said that it's better for us to live like outside his house. He's gonna build for us. I was like, no, that's not gonna work for me. And then when I told my dad, he was like, why would you want to marry someone who is super strict like that and has you like on a chokehold?
Yeah.
He was like, do you want to get married so bad? I was like, no, you know. I couldn't tell him that he was my boyfriend at that time.
Yeah. No.
But I was like, no, not really. And then he was like, you don't need this type of headache. He was like, you work, you have your own car, you have your own money. He was like, what do you need this for? I was like, you know what? You're right. Yeah. So I called it off. And then after that, I was like, let me just, you know, make a list of what I want in a man. But first thing I told my dad is like, I knew immediately after that guy, I was like, Dad, listen, I'm sorry, but I cannot bring an Emirati guy home. I'm like, I cannot be with an Arab guy or Emirati guy. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's okay as long as he's Muslim. So he would always tell me that. And then out of nowhere, I met Ryan, who's not Emirati, and wanted to get married. And then I just called him one day when me and him finally agreed. I just called my dad because I was living in Abu Dhabi, and I was like, I need you to meet someone. He wants to ask for my hand. He was like, okay, sure. Like, he's welcome to come, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, he was like, from which family? Because he thought he was Emirati. I was like, he's American. And then with his very Emirati tone, he was like, Amriki. Like, yeah. And he was like, okay, that's not a problem. And then I was like, and also he's black, because I didn't want him to think I was dating a white guy.
Yeah, because that's where your mind goes, right? You say American.
That's a whole different, you know, America being white.
Yeah.
But he was like, okay. He was like, sure. When do you, you know, give a date, blah, blah, blah. So before meeting him or after meeting him, before meeting him, I went to Ryan first. I had to check the vibe at home. Like, what is going on? Of course, my mom was like happy as hell that I'm marrying an American and not an Arab.
Yeah.
And my dad, to be honest, like, to just be completely honest, my dad was upset at first. Like, he wasn't expecting it, you know? And I was like, why are you shocked? Like, I keep telling you all these years I'm not gonna marry an Emirati.
Right.
And he was like, I thought you're joking. He was like, I thought you went through a phase because of what happened last time, and you know, this and that. I was like, Dad, like, you know, dads will always look at their girls as like little girls. So I was like, Dad, I'm not 8.
Yeah.
Like, when I tell you something, I actually mean it, you know, and I know what I want. So I was telling you I'm not gonna marry. That means I'm not gonna marry an Emirati.
Right.
So he was like, he was against it at first because he was like worried about the kids and of course the passport and the benefits of being Emirati and all those.
Oh yes, things. Yes, you have a lot to think about, right? Yeah,
right. So he was against it, but then I just kept telling him, you know what, you'll understand when you meet him. I didn't say anything to him. I didn't force him. I didn't fight with him. I wasn't upset with him. I was like, you will understand when you meet him, because my husband really has like a strong presence. So I was like, you'll understand when you meet him. So fast forward 2 weeks later, he met him. They were talking, left them alone, stuff like that. So my dad talks to me in Arabic during English, and he was like, he hasn't asked me yet. I was like, okay. I was like, relax, let the guy eat first, finish the food, and then he will ask you.
Your dad is so cute.
And then I was like, Ryan, he's like, waiting for you to ask. So anyways, my dad initiated. He was like, so why are you here, Ryan? What do you want to say? So he was like, I do want to marry your daughter, all that talk, blah, blah, blah.
Wait, you were in the room when that happened?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was like super kilig, but I'm just like sitting like this.
Yeah.
Like
I
womanly.
was, yeah, but I was like super kilig, and he was like saying all these things that I never knew that he was feeling, towards me, and like just telling it to my dad. And, my dad was just quiet. I don't know if my dad is shocked or thinking. So after that talk that they had, he was like, okay, so Jamila, what do you think? I was like, yes.
Jamila, what? Yeah.
Yes. And then he just started laughing, and then I was like, yes. He was like, you want to marry him? I was like, yes. He was like, you're sure? I said yes. I was like, okay. So the things that he didn't want to tell him, he told me. So it was like, Jamila, what about your kids? What about house? What about this? What about that? So I just told him one thing. I was like, listen, I'm not going to marry this guy if I don't trust him with my life. Like, I trust him with my life. And you being my dad, you knowing me, you should know that I know better. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where, I'm going to be broke, or I'm going to have difficulties, or my kids are going to struggle, or I'm going to struggle. Like, you should already know better, when it comes to me. And I was like, I trust him with my life. And everything we talked about, I was like, respectfully about our marriage just stays between me and him. I don't want to share it with you or with mom. So, when it comes to kids, we already agreed what we're going to do. When it comes to house, we already agreed what we're going to do. And I don't want to say anything else. And since I agreed, it means it's good for me. So, I'm not worried about anything. But I still understand him as a father and his concern. And being Emirati is like free this, free that, a big house, like a free house and education and all that stuff. But all that matters, yes, but not everybody has that luxury of having free stuff and free this. And there are billions of people in the world. Like, if all these people can do it, why can't we do it?
Exactly.
Just because he's not Emirati. And knowing him, I know he can, we can do it. We can do a lot bigger than we can imagine, basically. So, all those stuff that sometimes our parents don't understand, or like words like mental health and therapy and, little things like that.
The
they
taboo
don't really
stuff,
get. I didn't have to explain to him because, it's just eventually between me and him. Of course. Just gotta prove them wrong.
Yeah. And I think it was nice of you to allow Ryan to present himself without trying to portray a picture of him before your dad met him.
Yeah.
Because he'd be able to prove himself.
Yeah.
And eventually a good guy will always come across as a good guy to parents.
Yeah.
It might take some time, but then the truth will always come out. So that's nice of you to allow him to present himself.
Yeah.
Or not arguing with your dad, because also your dad will see, what is the character of my daughter around him? She's someone who's overly protective or overly caring about him. Or if she's like calm and in a good demeanor, then that means this guy is a good guy.
Yeah. And he's also scared because he's American. So he's thinking like wild, very open.
Right. Yeah.
Drinking, clubbing, and all these crazy stuff that he's thinking about America.
Yeah.
Right. And he's also thinking about me. He thought like as I get older, I would calm down. But of course, personal things about me and like spiritual and religion stuff, I don't share it to my dad. But I was already thinking about that, like to, be a little bit calmer and to get closer to God and stuff like that. That was already in my head. So he was worried that once I marry an American, I would really go like all out and like, go crazy with life. But honestly, when he converted, he just, like switched like a whole 180 degrees as well. Like he became just more amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and him getting closer to, the religion and getting to know more and more every day. It's just nice to see. It's amazing to see. And it's affecting me too.
That's nice.
So,
so you're building a good base for a future family as well, not just for the two
and
of
you're
you.
growing together as individuals and as a couple, which is
Yeah.
That's really
Really
inspiring.
everything, right? Yeah.
That's inspiring.
It is.
Like,
It is.
Yeah.
I hope a lot of like young women are listening to this so that they can like look at Jamila and be like, I want to be like her.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
even if she left home early, she might have a couple of hiccups here and there. Like look at her
Yeah,
now.
took the road less taken and still made a name for yourself, found love, did your own thing. I think it's really inspiring for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I always make sure like to tell my friends or girls on social media or whatever to make sure that they marry a guy who like give them space to be themselves, because that's important. One thing about especially like the Arab and Muslim world is that once I marry you, like you stay at home, don't do anything. And then eventually what will happen is the man will cheat. It's because you don't give, your wife the space to grow. She's just at home.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you come back, you get bored of her because there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to do. She can't move unless you move.
Yeah.
So it's very important for me to like tell women, Arab women and Muslim women to like, or women in general, to make sure to marry a guy who will like make sure to give you space to be yourself and also support you, but still calls you out on your,
just
bullshit,
not give you everything.
Yeah.
Like there's a fine balance as well.
Yes.
And it's good that you found that. So there's so many things that's currently happening in your life. You got recently married. There's your husband's business, your own job as well, and with family. Like what's next for you?
What's next for me? Well, I'm looking forward to start more, like doing more social media stuff. I think it's very hard for me to put myself out there. And randomly, this one girl on TikTok just told me, she was like, there's something about you. She was like, I feel like you're going to be big one day, which is something I get all the time whenever I'm comfortable with people, because that's when I talk a lot.
Yeah.
And then, I said that I do have a lot of things to say, and I'm pretty sure a lot of women would want to hear it.
Yeah.
And a lot of women, especially here, they fear like going out of the normal, follow the culture. But that's culture. That's man-made.
Yeah.
You don't need to follow that. Like for us, especially now, it's more important for us to follow religion, right? Culture is just whatever. Anybody can follow a culture. And I want to be more on social media and to speak more about important things and not just do makeup and hair and all those like, stuff. And I am looking forward to having babies.
Yeah.
In the
gosh,
future.
imagine cute little babies around,
Hopefully.
little Jamilas and Ryans.
Yes, in a few years though, so that my husband
We'll be
doesn't
so
freak
tall.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can already tell. I'm also looking forward to continuing being a controller, hopefully somewhere else, either here in Dubai or a different country. I don't know where life is gonna take me. Also, I'd love to do more podcasts. Hopefully, I can be in other podcasts.
Yeah.
Of course.
Our
of
second
course.
start
one's
my
here.
own.
Yes,
Yeah.
Start my
exactly.
own. Yeah.
I mean, you already have your husband's
Yeah.
knowledge in it to start your own
Yeah.
as well. If ever we're here as your guests.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
No, but I really like what you said. I think that social media these days is everyone thinks, influencer culture, like go to the bars and do your hair and makeup stuff. But there's a lot of things that you can actually put on social
Yeah.
media with like what you just said. I think TikTok is something which I haven't explored personally a lot, but she has. So I think that's also a great medium of how you can even empower women, because these women on not women but children in general are the highest, they're the
Viewers.
biggest consumers of social media, and I think they also should be set straight by people who've been doing this for a while, who's experienced life, and be a guidance to them, like which you're trying to do as well. Like could you mention you go live on TikTok and you answer people's questions and everything like that as well.
I always I always try to like talk with my husband first, because I'm still not 100% fully confident to be out there, but I always talk to him about like taboo subjects that is happening around here that people don't want to talk about.
Right.
So those are the type of subjects I want to talk about on TikTok, but I just know it would get like so much backlash, and I'm not sure how people will understand it.
Right.
Like our video, if you have TikTok,
Yes.
so I'll follow you on TikTok, and I have like my most viewed TikTok pinned, which is me and my husband's wedding. And I wrote that I am Emirati, married to an American. It was like a trend that was going on. and you would see all the bad comments about me, or about like being racist and about people like just being absolutely ridiculous. So just me opening up about the things that I want to open up or talk about the taboo subjects, I know it's going to be really, really bad.
Yeah.
Like really, really bad. If this is just me saying I'm Emirati married to an American,
Oh yeah.
and all those comments I get is just horrible. Like, what if I talk about sex, which is absolutely normal?
Yeah.
You know, what if I talk about pregnancy and what really happens when you're pregnant? You know, just stuff like that. Even period. Like, people get grossed out because of something so normal and natural
that happens,
right?
Yeah.
But in the Arab Muslim world, it's like a whole.
It's a hush hush.
It's a
you're not
like
allowed to
silence
talk
it.
about
Don't
that.
talk about it in public. Why are you on the internet talking about these kinds of things? So I know it's gonna be a struggle, but I wish you really the best and that you'll be able to take this forward.
Yeah, and that she'll be able to shut down all of those comments because you already have your foot in the right direction. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And looking for you, like inspiring a lot of other women and men too.
Yes.
Not just in the Middle East, but anywhere else. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else before we close off?
I think maybe you can just tell all our listeners and subscribers where they can find you, what mediums you use, so they can follow you,
where they can stalk you, like what we did.
Are you gonna put the handle?
Yeah, I'll put the handles as well.
So I'm on Instagram, and what is my handle?
I'm
Instagram
Jamila.
is I'm Jamila,
Yeah.
and I do have a TikTok which is I'm Jamila as well. I stopped YouTube because YouTube is is so much, but I do have a YouTube channel as well, and the link is on my Instagram.
Yes,
if you want.
Okay, I'll put everything in the description, and I'll put pop-ups when I edit.
If you want to stalk Ryan and Jamila, they also have a video on YouTube talking more about their relationship. So if you want to know more and learn more about them, you'll find it there.
And you can also plug Ryan's podcast as well.
Yes. So my husband has a podcast. It's Bridging the Gap. I'll send you the whole thing.
The details.
It will be in the description.
Yeah, I'll put everything in the description.
Yeah.
But it was really pleasant, Jamila. I know you're gonna close, but I just want to say, it was really an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
I really love what you're doing in your life,
Thank
and
you
really inspired me today. I think Janine and I are gonna have a talk.
Yeah.
After this podcast,
we'll have a difficult, uncomfortable talk later.
And I'm gonna blame you. And
look what you did to my fiance.
Exactly.
She's talking about things now.
I know.
It's a must.
No, but it's really cool. One of the discussions I really enjoy having with people is about relationships, because I think it's a very dynamic thing that you can talk about, because everyone has a different opinion about stuff. Like someone wants to be a playboy, someone wants to settle down, someone wants to do different things. So I really like talking to different people and understanding how they really play it out. So I really enjoyed this podcast as well. And
and every relationship is different, and every individual is different. So.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, so thank you again for being with us and spending your time here. We know that she's off to work right after
work
this.
later, so we'll wrap it up.
Thanks a lot. And, guys, if you really want to know more about Jamila, we're going to put all of her details on the handle, her husband's podcast as well. Follow them on all of their social media accounts. If you want to know more about our next couple of guests, who we also have lined up, make sure that you follow us on Instagram at Have a Nice Day Podcast. And send us an email if you have any questions about our guests, about us, or if you have any topics that you would like us to discuss at haveanicedayshow@gmail.com. We also have our Have a Nice Day
Handy advice form.
Handy advice form. I'm blanking out. It's been a month. Our handy advice form. The Google link will be on our Instagram handle in our bio, and also in
link in bio.
The link in bio in YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm blanking out.
So subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, comment if you want us to reach out to you, or if you have any questions for Jamila, you want to ask through us.
If you want her back for more of what we just discussed. Exactly.
And then talk about Philippines.
Yes. She haven't really touched much upon.
I want to hear about her last relationship as well. So I think
You're so marites. You're so marites.
I want to hear the juicy goss, about what went on. But I think that's it. And thank you once again for watching if you made it this far. And
on that note...
Oh, we have to tell her what we do on the end.
So what we say, and on that note, and then we sing Have a Nice Day. It's Have a Nice Day.
If you want to do it only,
we're not going to force you.
Sabay tayo.
Sabay tayo. Okay. And on that note, have a nice day. Good job.
Yo, we should start a band.
We love you guys.
Like you as a friend. Bye.
Bye. Oh, thank you, Jamila.
Thank you.